D. Mace Finnegan and Donick 102.5, The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you on a Friday. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day, and the weekend is almost here. The Tennessee Titans are back on the field against the Atlanta Falcons. That game starts at 6 o'clock. So, hey, how about a nice 3-hour pregame show here on 102.5 The Game?
And that is what this is today.
That is what this is today.
And
so we'll take you right up to kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
I have also I'm just taking over.
Mm-hmm.
I am taking over the DJ duties today.
Ooh,
I've submitted
we saw
the playlist.
we saw some of your playlists.
Oh, you already got a sneak peek?
Yeah, we got a sneak peek of the playlist. I like the first one you sent.
Was it cutting edge?
Yeah,
that's my goal.
Yeah.
I want people out there to say, that Willie, he's on the cutting edge.
See, that's
he's not
what
playing last year's tunes. He's not playing the tunes you hear all over the place. He's going deep in the library, pulling out songs that hit the mood.
He's going deep in his bag.
Yeah, see, this is something that many don't know about Willie. He's cutting edge. He's been cutting edge for some years now.
At least we hope.
Yeah. So we hope
maybe
that
not
he's
every
cutting
day.
edge. Yeah. So, but hey, listen. Last
we're gonna
night,
have fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun. But last night, because yesterday we talked about, the PSLs, or it was yesterday or the day before, but we've had a long conversation.
That was Tuesday.
And we've talked about PSLs, and we're going to continue to talk about the Titans in their new stadium as the process continues. But when I'm talking with people, especially like at restaurants, I like to ask them, especially if they get to talking about sports, football, Titans, more in particular. And, if they say they've been, fans and season ticket holders, the minute they say, I'm a season ticket holder, the first thing I think is, so tell me about your experience. That's all I want to know about your experience. And last night was no different. So a buddy of mine, good friend of mine, Gerard, we went to a little establishment around the corner from my house. Sort of like Cheers, it's walkable if I wanted to walk to it. But I drove around my house, met my homeboy there, have a few drinks, some libations. Is that what you call it? Yeah, libations. Yeah, there we go. So we're in there eating and drinking a little bit. So there was this, there wasn't a couple, but it was like friends, and Mike and Monica. And Mike was talking about, him being a season ticket holder, him loving, the Titans, and he's been a long time fan. So I said, well, how was your experience at the, what do they call it? The Titan House. And he said, you know what? The actual experience when they bring you in there, and my good friend Gerard, he's been through the process because he's a ticket holder as well. He said the actual process, like going in, seeing everything, he said that was great because it's like you are showing them, all the bells and whistles and how it would look if they were, watching the game from this vantage point, and how the field would look, and the concessions and everything else. He said that part was great. He said, but there was a sticker shock, a huge sticker shock. And I don't know where he got his seats. He ended up, buying, giving the PSL money. And I'm not going to, it was a lot. I'm not going to sit here and give a dollar amount, but it was a lot for his PSLs. But he said he was, the sticker, if there was a sticker shock, he said he was fine with going in, sort of the introduction to, the seats and everything else. He was cool with that. That was great. They did a good job. But he said once he heard the tickets, he was like, woo, all right, then let me, I guess you had to think about that. And my good friend Gerard was the same way. He was like, man, I got to think about this. And I think both of them end up doing what they needed to do to get their tickets for the new stadium. But I think it's going to be either one or two things. Now, some people you're going to have that are just going to be fine with it, and typically, no matter how high the price is, some fans will find a way to pay for it, or they'll find some way to still be in the building. But I think this is what the Titans are going to have to get over, the sticker shock. We had a caller yesterday or Tuesday that went through his whole process and moving from one point. Well, can I buy some tickets over here? I want over there. No, how about that? That's the problem. That's the issue the Titans are going to run into. Not that they are not rolling it out the red carpet. Not that, what they're not showing you isn't going to be great, because that stadium is going to change Nashville forever. It will. No more. We will not be seen as a smaller market team, city. Once they build that new stadium, because then everything comes here now. But that's what they're going to have to get over, the sticker shock. Their fans, either you're going to pay for the tickets in the PSL, either you're going to pay for the PSL or you're going to have to wait until they sell individual tickets for games. So, I mean, they will sell that place out, I believe, when those doors open. I think whoever the Titans are playing, and even if they're a bad team, I think that first game it's going to be sold out because everybody's going to want to be in the new stadium. But outside of that, if you don't start winning, yeah, that building looks nice, but when you start telling people they got to pay, 2 times what they paid or 3 times what they paid for their last PSLs, that's where you're going to run into the problem.
Those are 2027 problems?
Yes. Yes.
Let's talk 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So Titans fans, I know that, I would assume that you're excited about the season. It may not go well, but we're always excited about the start of the football season. But I'm here to tell you that you don't have to watch any of the football games this season, because Sports Illustrated, Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated, went team by team and predicted the results of every team's schedule. And I'm not just talking about total wins, total losses. He went through every team's schedule and picked the specific games that each team is going to win and each team is going to lose. So I can tell you right now which games the Tennessee Titans are going to win, at least according to Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated. By the way, he has the Titans going 4-13.
That's improvement.
Yeah.
That's improvement.
4-13.
What they win? 2 games last year?
3.
3?
I had to laugh. I watched last week, Channel 2. I was preparing to watch the game, and about an hour and a half before the game, Channel 2 aired the NFL Films, which every team does every year, the yearbook, the 2024 Titans half-hour highlight film from last year.
Wasn't many highlights, huh? And
it was 28 minutes of commercials.
Exactly.
It wasn't quite that, but let me tell you, they showed a lot of highlights from the 3 games that they won.
I'm sure they did.
I would say the 3 games that they won constituted about 18 of the 24 minutes of on-air footage.
Oh, wow.
It was quite creative how they tried to do that. And they really didn't mention Will Levis a whole lot.
I'm sure they did.
I would sympathize with any producer. It's like, hey, Adam, put together the highlights from this 3-14 team and do your best.
It would just say scene missing for 30 minutes.
They showed like the first couple drives of the Bears game in the first opening.
Then what
game,
happened?
And then they didn't really show what happened in the second half.
All right.
And they kind of skipped ahead. After an 0-3 start, they went to Miami. And then there was great highlights from the Dolphins game.
Not many.
There weren't many highlights in that game either.
But there was a win. There was a celebration at the end of the game.
Yes. So Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated has the Titans going 4-13. So let's break this down into sections. Orr has the Titans starting the season 0-4. He has the Titans losing at Denver, at home to the Rams, home to the Colts, and at Houston. So he has the Titans starting at 0-4. But hey, the Titans get their first win of the season, week 5 at Arizona. They're 1-4. Then the Titans lose 4 more, including the game a lot of you have circled. He has the Titans losing at home to Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots in week 7. So he has the Titans going into the bye week in week 10 with a 1-8 record. The other 3 wins on the schedule. Week 12 at home against the Seahawks. Week 16 at home against the Chiefs, which is interesting. And week 17 at home against the Saints. So Connor Orr has the Titans going 4-13, starting 0-4 and 1-8, but winning 2 of their final 3 games to finish the season 4-13.
That might cost them the first pick if they win 2 of the last 3. Kind of what
Man.
the opposite of what happened last year.
May mess up this season.
Here's what he wrote about the Titans. Quote, I had the Commanders at 5 wins a year ago, and I imagine I could look similarly ridiculous if Cam Ward takes off for the Titans. Las Vegas has Tennessee sitting at 6.5 wins, which to me is a tremendous display of confidence, not only in the number 1 pick, but in second-year head coach Brian Callahan. The team opens the season with a cross-country road trip at Denver in the heat and elevation before getting the Rams, Colts, and a road game against the Texans. While you could argue that the Colts game is winnable, it's definitely a coin flip at best. I tried to show improvement by Ward in giving Tennessee 2 wins over the final 3 weeks of the season against New Orleans and a stunner against, yes, the mighty Chiefs. So again, 4-13, starting 0-4, first win of the season, week 5 at Arizona, 1-4, 4 consecutive losses after that, 1-8 going into the bye. So I was thinking to myself, I can only imagine the types of conversations we would be having if this is actually what plays out. How would we be discussing the Titans? What would we be discussing if they start 0-4 other than firing Brian Callahan and looking ahead to the draft? What happens? What happens if they lose to Mike Vrabel at home against the Patriots and fall to 1-6?
See, I can just sense the glee right now in your voice, Adam, because you love chaos.
Yes.
And
I do.
I mean, you're just kind of looking ahead and saying, "Woo, the chaos
This is
that
gonna
we
be
can have."
tantalizing.
If Connor Orr is right, this could be chaos. You're enthusiastic about this, but that obviously would be the central. Could Brian Callahan survive an 0-4, 1-6 kind of thing?
Yes.
And I will stand by. I think if that chaos does unfold, I will stand by it, unless it's just, they can't put one foot in front of the other and they're doing worse than they did last year in the pre-snap penalties and things like that. I will stand by that they should stick with the continuity. They should ride out the storm, even if they struggle. That's how I sit today, August 15th, when they're in the fire, in the midst of the chaos. Remember, I'm going to stick with that thought. I do think that it's not my thought going into the year. They're not going to struggle because of the coaches. They're going to struggle because they don't have enough players. So if that's true August 15th, it's going to be true October 15th.
One texter already says on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, if the Titans lose to the Patriots and go 1-8, then Callahan will be fired during the bye week.
I mean, I understand that, the schedule looks daunting, at least the first 4 games, because you're going up against a team that, last year they end up going in the playoffs and nobody thought that they would. Their quarterback played, pretty good, and their defense was the best in the NFL. But I think people look at it from this standpoint. They have, just like, Denver has a long time to prepare for the Titans. The Titans have just as equally or even more time. And what I mean by that is that they got film on their quarterback. They got a lot of film on their quarterback. They got a lot of film on what he likes to do, what he doesn't like to do, his tendencies. You know who they have very little film of? Cam Ward. Very little film on Cam Ward. And I know many of you probably sitting back thinking like, that don't matter. Yeah, it does matter. It does. Because it can almost be like the unknown could be in this situation detrimental to Denver in a sense. And the weather ain't gonna matter. I mean, the altitude is, but when you talk about heat, I would hate to be in this heat than the heat in Colorado up in the mountains. And, but the altitude is real. But don't just look at that first game as, oh, they're just losing, because there have been plenty times where even with the Titans, that opening game, oh, they're going to lose, they end up winning. And it may not have as much to do with how good they are. It may just have to do with, you don't have enough tape on me as a defensive coordinator. Yeah, you have tape on the scheme, but you don't know what this quarterback likes doing. You don't know his tendencies.
Now, how much does that matter when the defense that the Titans will be facing in week 1 arguably is the best defense in the NFL?
We've seen it before. They've seen it before. They've seen it. This defense, this offense, they've seen that. They've seen it. They've seen their players. They know what their players about. They know who the X, who's the primary guy in defense. Obviously, it's Surtain. Is it Surtain?
Yes.
Yes, Surtain. He's their number one guy. He's the reigning defensive player of the year. So
most penalized defensive back.
And he's the most
also
penalized defensive back.
There's also Nick Bonito, not to be confused with Nick Bonino.
I learned that last year. I was like, Nick Bonino. Oh no, Bonito.
Bonito.
Yes,
but listen,
Bonito.
And I'm not saying that that defense isn't good. They are. But walk into that first game, and I'm just telling you because I'm telling you from experience. Let's just say that. I'm telling you from experience. That first game, sometimes it may work out better for the team that people think are not as good.
I
especially
agree.
when you have a new quarterback, and they're going to try to do some things different this year, I think, offensively. So that's, if Denver's not ready to play on defense, I'm not even thinking about their offense because you got a lot of film on him. Just like you want to blitz and do everything to Cam Ward, they're going to do the same exact thing to Bo Nix and see how he handles it.
Derek is calling for the upset right now on August 15th. That they're going to win.
Oh, I'm calling for it.
It would be nice for the coaching staff to get a little something in the tank on the win column early, whether it's that game or not. I do agree with you on everybody. There will be a big. Last I looked, it's already almost a touchdown favored for Denver. Denver's record the last 5 years: 5-11, 7-10, 5-12, 8-9, and then last year 10-7. So there's a lot of hype for Denver, and they do have a really good defense, but they haven't been a juggernaut, and they're going to be a heavy favorite. I do think it's not a bad place to go as the underdog when nobody will expect them to do anything but get blown out.
The Broncos are 8-point favorites.
It's up to 8 now?
Yes, Denver -8, according to ESPN.
That is one of the bigger lines you will find. And this isn't the defending Super Bowl champs with John Elway and Ed McCaffrey and Terrell Davis.
No.
Quickly, let's go to Jared in Spring Hill on our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Jared, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I want to share my logic going into this season, and then I got a question for how to approach the Titans. But I'm subscribing to the logic right now. It seems like they're pretty self-aware, and we know what some of these older receivers are. I'm kind of leaning more to giving more run, and especially when it comes to roster cut down, keeping some of the younger receivers over like a Jefferson and some of the other guys. Like we know what they are, but we really need young guys. Like I'm more almost to that point to where I would rather see all the receivers that we drafted and unsigned and we signed, the young guys, the rookies, carry most of the weight this season because if you don't want to mislead yourself. And we really do need to start developing some young athletes. And that's really the only way they're going to develop is get playing time. And I'd rather give them playing time than Dan Jefferson and even a Lockett. No offense to Lockett, but he's making too much money to not play. Also, how do you think that the Broncos are going to try to defend and shut down the Titans? And then what counter are they going to be able to pull out of the bag whenever that initial defense starts shutting down what they want to do?
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Stay cool this weekend also. Tighten up.
Thank you for the call, Jared.
I think we can save the game plan until the week of the game.
Yes.
We've still got a little ways to figure that out.
Jared, do me a favor. Call back in 3 weeks and ask the same exact question. Same exact question. Yes.
But I would say that that will be a theme. If they get off to a slow start, especially, you will start to hear, hey, why not play the young guys, right? I think that will absolutely be a theme.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated predicted the results of every game for every team. He has the Titans going 4-13, starting 0-4, and going into the bye week 1-8. The one win at Arizona in week 5. That means, yes, losing to Mike Vrabel and the Patriots at home in week 7. Your thoughts on that, and what kind of crazy conversations will we be having if this actually turns out to be true? 615-737-1025. Coming up next, yesterday, Willie made a prediction during our State the Case segment about a specific position group on the Titans, and we are going to dig deeper into that Coming up next, 615-737-1025. Later today on ESPN 94.9 The Fan, the Nashville Sounds take on Durham. First pitch is at 5:35. Coverage is also available on the Game Nashville app and at theGameNashville.com. Sounds baseball on ESPN 94.9 The Fan is presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure.
the offensive line should be way better than it was a year ago. It was a complete dumpster fire last year. And so getting Dan Moore, getting J.C. Latham, who lost like 30 or 40 pounds, lost an enormous amount of weight, allowing him to move back over to right tackle, bringing in Kevin Zeitler, who isn't all pro anymore, but is a guy who's played, I think, 14 years in the league now, 15 years in the league. It's not going to be one of the best offensive lines in football, but it's a professional offensive line, which I think is probably what you could have said last year. So like now it's just about like, how can they make it easier on him and make sure that it's like, hey, we just want you to go out there and play quarterback, right? Like, don't like the spectacular highlight stuff. We know you've got it and it'll come, but we want to make sure we're coaching into you to make the routine play. And I think there's that tendency with some of these guys, again, because they're so capable of it, because they could get away with so much in college, to constantly want to make the highlight play. And they're trying to teach Cam, like, you don't have to do that all the time.
That was Albert Breer and Connor Orr on the MMQB podcast talking about the Titans offensive line. By the way, speaking of Connor Orr, in the first segment, we mentioned that Orr predicted the Titans are going to go 4-13. They are going to start 0-4, win week 5 against the Cardinals, then lose 4 more games before the bye, including the game against Mike Vrabel, to go into the bye week 1-8. One texter says, if we lose to Vrabel, Callahan will be fired directly into the sun.
Wow.
Another texter says, even if they start 1-8, what gain is there in firing the coach? There's just not very many good players on the team. Firing the coach during the bye week won't fix the roster. They can fire him after the season. Another texter says, now hold up. Everyone said the reason we lost all of the games last year was Levis's fault. We have a new quarterback and got rid of one of the worst offensive lines in history, and they are saying we are going to win one more game than last year. Coach has to go. So just a sampling. Hopefully it doesn't play out that way, but we'll get back to that. So let's play some word association. I'm gonna say a word or a name, and I want the two of you to say the first thing that comes to your mind, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Andre Dillard.
Trash.
Disaster.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said it like that. I'm so sorry.
That's so rude.
God, that was so
He's
rude.
a human being.
Exactly. You're right, David.
I believe I just saw that
he has a family, and I'm being dead serious. Inadequate.
I believe I just saw.
Let's say that. Inadequate.
Andre Dillard ended up on season-ending injured reserve. I want to say with the 49ers.
Well, it's good for the 49ers.
But this is the point of word association, Derek. You are supposed to say the first word.
So I said inadequate.
No, you said trash. Let the record show you said trash.
The audio.
All right. Next, Aaron Brewer.
Undersized.
Inept.
Nicholas
Yes,
Petit Frere.
Gambler.
And not in the Kenny Rogers way?
Right.
Not a starter.
Okay, well, that's 3 words,
Yeah.
not 1, unless you're putting hyphens.
Non-starter,
Yeah,
non-dash starter.
Non-starter. Yeah.
Okay, well, guess what? None of them play for the Tennessee Titans anymore.
Good.
So the Tennessee Titans have, according to Albert Breer, the makings of a quote-unquote professional offensive line. Will, you brought this up yesterday. And we know that the Titans offensive line did not perform well last year. Pro Football Focus gave the Titans a grade that ranked tied for 25th in pass blocking last season, and a grade in run blocking that ranked 31st in the NFL last season. So we know that the Tennessee Titans...
The fact that they had the pass blocking rated higher than the run blocking ought to tell you something based on the number of sacks they gave up.
Well, the thing about the sacks is Will Levis, also according to Pro Football Focus, 30.4% of the pressures on Will Levis turned into sacks. 30.4%.
That's a high number.
So not having Will Levis under center should...
that will lower the sacks. As we've talked about a lot,
yes.
Mason Rudolph, when he was playing quarterback, which was a significant amount of the time last year, he did not get sacked nearly as much. So the quarterback has a ton to do with the number of sacks. But that aside, it was still not a good offensive line, nowhere close to it. As Albert Breer just said, dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire, which is probably worse than trash because it's trash that's on fire, right?
I think that's accurate. In fact, in East, I don't even want to say it.
Yeah, don't even say it.
Somebody lit.
You live in East
A
Nashville.
couple
don't even
people
say it.
got lit. Their dumpsters,
For
not
real?
dumpsters, but their little
Trash
containers.
cans?
But it was the receptacle for the recycling.
Oh wow.
Some yo-yo just came through and lit a couple of them on fire.
We're watching
You
you.
had to get the fire trucks out.
East Nashville is watching you.
Yeah.
We'll catch you.
We're gonna find you.
Yes.
We're gonna find you.
Willie and I live on that side of town.
Yeah,
We will find you.
we know people.
Just like Chippendale Rescue Rangers. The offensive line. Albert Breer calls it professional. When you hear that, when you hear someone describe the offensive line as professional, what comes to mind? The fact that Andre Dillard and Aaron Brewer and Nicholas Petit-Frere aren't on it anymore, and they actually have capable offensive linemen?
I think, number one, you are putting people out there in a spot where they have a chance to succeed. I think there's no question that the common theme of those guys, right? Aaron Brewer was a nice backup and a very good, scrappy guy that you could plug in there when needed at guard or center. But as a full-time, everyday center, that was not a strength for him. Andre Dillard obviously was a bargain attempt at a second chance for a first-round pick, thinking you could get something out of it for a low price, and it was obviously a disaster. And then, Petit-Frere, just not cut out to be starters. I think the 5 guys that they have starting this year are starters, right? Skoronski and Latham, you hope, are going to take another step. They're both very, very young, but they've already been starters. Cushenberry is a starter in the league. Zeitler is a starter in the league, has been for over a decade. And we know Dan Moore is an overpaid, but a starter in the league. And you will hear this all year long. Well, Dan Moore, they paid him all that money. He's going to look bad sometimes. Most tackles do. And they know they overpaid him. But he is a starter in the league, which puts him light years ahead of Dillard and Petit-Frere.
Let's go to T-Mac on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. T-Mac, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Okay, I have concrete proof that the Titans are going to win more games than last year. Here's how. How many games last year do you guys think that Will Levis lost the Titans alone? That's my first question.
At least 2, maybe 3.
You could start with the first 2 games.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could argue that he directly handed the game.
3.
The Bengals game, maybe, handed him. There's 3.
Yep.
Just
And
with
then
direct plays.
How many games? Yeah. And how many games do you think the offensive line lost the Titans alone?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the offense couldn't.
There were times where they couldn't block plays, right? They couldn't protect.
Well, obviously, because I don't think he was able to run the offense the way he wanted it to. Sorry about that, T-Mac. Thank you for the call. But what T-Mac was alluding to is this, and I think we have talked about this leading up to the draft, and then after the draft, Will Cam be the starter? So we've discussed this. How many games, looking at this, because we also talked about there were majority of their games, they were either within a touchdown or leading at half. And then the second half, they just completely blew it. That's a team that has no depth. That's a team that roster is not as deep. They have talent, but it's not enough to sustain 4 quarters. And then you throw in the play of the quarterback. The offensive line wasn't that good. You do look at the next following season and say, well, man, we got a new quarterback. It can't be as bad as it was last year, because last year alone, the quarterback threw away 3 games. The offensive line, didn't allow the offensive play caller to call the plays that he really wanted to call. And his team, as bad as they were, there were a lot of games they were up at half or down by less than a touchdown. So I understand, a fan like T-Mac, feeling optimistic, because you don't have those players. Some of those players that were a part of the losing last year, they're not in prominent roles anymore. The 2 tackles, the tackle, you swap one, put it on the other side. Now that left, the right tackle's gone. You put what you assume is a better right tackle. Then you add a better left tackle. You add a guard. So you have changed the framework, or you have changed the look of your offensive line. That alone, judging by the guys that you have, you expect this team to be better. You don't expect the quarterback to throw away 3 or 4 games like they did last year.
And ESPN, I suppose, sees the same things that Albert Breer sees, that Derek was just describing, because one ESPN analyst rated the Titans' offensive line much higher than I anticipated. And we'll discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Your thoughts on the makeup of the Titans' offensive line. Albert Breer describes it as a quote-unquote professional offensive line. Your thoughts on the makeup of the offensive line this coming season for the Tennessee Titans. 615-737-1025. This September, Tim McGraw will be performing at Trinetics' Rock the Cradle in Nashville, a meaningful event supporting newborns and moms at Ascension St. Thomas Midtown. Get your tickets now at rockthecradlenashville.org.
He's sitting there at left guard, which is a new position for him. He played left tackle in college. And he has nobody that he can rely on as an anchor physically and then mentally and from an experience standpoint next to him at left tackle. And the same thing next to him on the other side at center. And so he's trying to help those guys when he's a rookie trying to figure out a new position. And, it took him a while to kind of figure out how to play his position. And down the stretch last year, I think he did a really good job. I think he improved. And I think now that he has got a legitimate, bona fide, experienced, talented left tackle in Dan Moore, and when Lloyd Cushenberry comes back from injury, he'll have the same thing at center. And all of a sudden, he won't have to be the guy that's going to hold up three positions. He'll have to hold up his position, and he'll have plenty of help on both sides for the first time in his career. So I'm very interested to see how he performs in that scenario.
That was Trevor Maddich on our program earlier this week discussing Peter Skoronski. And as I said at the end of our show yesterday, guys, I am bullish on Peter Skoronski.
And so is Trevor.
I think he is going to have a really good season. I liked what I saw from him down the stretch of last season. The data backs that up. And I agree with Trevor. Now that Peter Skoronski, will be surrounded, to borrow the term Albert Breer used, he will be surrounded by professional offensive linemen and not Nicholas Petit-Frere and Aaron Brewer and other players. I think Peter Skoronski could do incredibly well. Now, does that mean that he's going to live up to his draft position? Probably not, but hopefully this season could be the first in a long line of good seasons for Peter Skoronski. So ESPN today, Mike Clay, who, if I recall correctly, specializes in fantasy football, he released his rankings of every major position group in the NFL. And he had the Titans offensive line ranked 5th best in the NFL behind the Eagles, Broncos, Bears, and Vikings. Now, I could not find his methodology, how he came up with this number. I looked at last year's rankings, and Mike Clay had the Titans offensive line ranked 9th. So perhaps take this. Yes.
In the league?
Yes, before the season.
Oh, before the season.
Before
Must
the
be
season.
a big believer in Bill Callahan.
So perhaps take this with a grain of salt. Back in July, Pro Football Focus had the Titans offensive line ranked 24th, which seems more appropriate.
Right. And I think we would agree. 5th is probably a little bit optimistic. 9th, I don't know what he was thinking. I would like to know. But I want to go back to Trevor because I think he made a couple points that I had not really given a whole lot of thought to. And that is, first of all, let's remember that Peter Skoronski just turned 24. And I always put the age in perspective. Cam Ward, who has not played an NFL game yet, is 23. So Peter Skoronski came into the league young. Mm-hmm. This is his 3rd year. So he's got experience under his belt, and he's still developing. J.C. Latham is only 22. So there's a lot of room for growth with both of these guys, and I think Skoronski has improved. But the thing that really jumped out at me, D. Mace, about what Trevor said was that, because this is what I had never thought of, when you go from tackle to guard, he spent his whole career up until he was drafted by the Titans as a tackle. Mm-hmm. And he's used to blocking mostly the quick rush ends, the ones that can really get around and make moves on you. Then he moves inside, and he's trying to block. I forget the term that Trevor used. He had a funny name for the big interior defensive line, but the nose guards and the defensive tackles mm-hmm. that are much more big. It's a different style of blocking, and that's an adjustment. Even though you're theoretically, everybody says, well, you're going to an easier position. It should be easy, but it's an adjustment, right? And so I think that is also something that he should be much more comfortable with now. And he's, as we heard on the clip, he's now surrounded on either side by better players.
Yeah, you tend to believe that, the better the players are around him, the better the individual gets that's in the middle of it. Because you drafted him high for a reason. You felt he had the skill set to play the position you wanted him to play. But unfortunately for him, he was bookend with two guys that really shouldn't have been starters in this league. Let's just say that. I'm not going to go all the way to saying he's trash again, but they were not starters. Brewer wasn't a starter because he was too small, and Dillard wasn't a starter because he just wasn't good.
And then he had the appendectomy.
Exactly. Then he had the appendectomy,
yeah,
and it affects him. But I think after that, last year he started to come around. You got to understand, he was in his second offense at that point. He's in his second offense because he didn't get drafted by Bill Callahan and Brian Callahan. He got drafted by Mike Vrabel and his staff. So you go from that offense to a different offense. And by the way, the two guys on either left or the right of you, the first year were not good. Then the second year, you got to change a new offense. And then you're putting a left tackle at a position that, he's okay. But now you got a rookie next to a second-year player. And then your center, he gets hurt. And now you're dealing with the backup center last year. So there were a lot of things going on around Peter, but he still managed to get better. And if you watch him now, again, like I said yesterday, I think he is right now, he's proven he is the best interior lineman the Titans have on their roster at this point. Zeitler hadn't practiced yet as much. So we know once he get in there, and that's what I'm worried about too with Zeitler. And I can talk about that later. But when Zeitler comes back and Cushenberry is cemented in again as your starter at center, but whether it's he or Levin, I think Levin is doing a good job. I think you're going to see a much better offensive line than what you've seen the past 3 seasons.
So Pro Football Focus recently wrote an article predicting the NFL's most improved player at every position. Peter Skoronski was the choice at guard. And here are the data points that I want to highlight for Skoronski. Quote, Skoronski took real steps forward as a pass blocker in the second half of the season, demonstrating the excellent footwork and hand usage that saw him drafted in the top 15 more consistently. His season-long 76.3 pass blocking grade was 7th at the position, but Skoronski dominated in the final 7 games of the season, allowing just 1 sack and 5 pressures, while earning a league-high 88.2 pass blocking grade. And that's why I'm bullish on Peter Skoronski, because he ended the season on a high note, and now he is being surrounded by a professional left tackle and Dan Moore, a professional center in Lloyd Cushenberry. Or Levin, more so Cushenberry.
Yes.
But I liked what Trevor said there in that clip we played from when we spoke to him earlier this week, that now Skoronski only has to focus on his position. He's not trying to do the work of 3 men in one.
Yes. And hopefully Latham, as you do the dominoes, will, just going in, just with having a heartbeat is light years an upgrade of the guys they were playing at right tackle last year. I mean, it wasn't just Nicholas Petit-Frere. Let's remember that. They tried everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So Latham goes over there, and he, I think he held his own for most of the season. What the rap on Latham was, and I don't know if you have the grades, because the word was he wore down at the end of the season last year. He was holding his own for a while, but dipped a little bit towards the end of the year. I don't know if the weight was the thing, but as he slides over to the right, even if he's not great, he's way better than what was there. And this is a first-round pick who is slimmed down. He's got tools. I think he could be excellent there. So that's the idea, right?
Well, yeah, you got everybody, what it seems to be at this point, everybody in their right positions. I think first and foremost, that's where it needs to start. Because even though JC could play left tackle, and, he had his ups and downs at left tackle, but I thought he was getting a little bit better. But now he's put in his original position. I think the position he can dominate at, and that's right tackle. So now you got a guy that is supposed to play right tackle. He's playing right tackle. A guy that has played right guard for 10 plus years in this league, and he's been damn good at it. You got him at right guard. You're going to get your center back, And now the guy that you drafted to be your left guard, he's your left guard along with a bona fide left tackle. That should make the line much better because no one seems to be playing out of position now.
Let's go to Clay on our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Clay, thank you for waiting. Go ahead.
I'm becoming a regular caller, boys. I just have a general comment, and then I wanted to ask D-Mace a question. I'm out in the streets a lot of Nashville as a driver. And Derek, you probably remember this when you played back in the day and the team was good. I mean, you saw Titans flags everywhere on cars. You don't see that anymore. And that's really sad to me. I mean, I want this team to be good again. And the roster, does need to be improved, and maybe even the coaching needs to be improved. But I just kind of wanted to say that I noticed the difference in what it was back then and what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, I wanted your take on, after all you played, I wanted your take. What do you think of Tony Pollard as a running back? I mean, I think the kid is pretty good. I like the Cowboys too, and he was with the Cowboys. To me, he's a guy that's pretty shifty. He's got pretty good speed. He catches the ball pretty well out of the backfield. I mean, I think he's a pretty good player, don't you?
Thanks, Clay.
Thank you, Clay. Yeah, I think Tony Pollard's a good player, but I think Tony Pollard operates better when he doesn't have to take a boatload of the carries,
which might be a problem now that
because
Tajay Spears is hurt
exactly.
again.
And not to say that Tony Pollard couldn't do it, because I think he can. But if you want to get the best out of Tony Pollard, then he may not carry the ball 260 times next year. This upcoming season, as it looks now, I mean, he may have to carry it 260, 300 plus. But I think if he has to do that, you're not going to get the best Tony Pollard. I would rather have him 200 carries, and he still may get 1,000 yards. But what I'm hoping that if I get it down to 200 carries, that 4.2 average he had last year will go up. Because if you look at his career, when he wasn't carrying the ball the bulk of the time, his average per carry was up. They need to get him back. That's why they put so much emphasis on Tajay Spears and that skill set that he has, because it allows them to get Tony Pollard off the field, give him a break, take some snaps away from him, because they know come the fourth quarter, he is a strong, powerful runner to be in a small body, but he still runs like a big running back. So if they can take away some of the carries, but then he be the guy in the fourth quarter, the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, that you need a strong running back. If they can do that, I think you're going to get the best Tony Pollard. But if he has to rush 260, 300 times, no, you're not. You're just not going to get the best Tony Pollard.
That's what we're going to be looking for tonight, is the running backs not named Tony Pollard.
Mm-hmm.
This is a chance to make a step forward. Everybody's going to be watching that tonight, in addition to Ward. You mentioned the run blocking problems of the offensive line, so let's tie it back to, we think there's going to be an upgrade in offensive line play that will help Tony Pollard. He had 1,000 yards last year, but a lot of the analytics showed that he had to do a lot after contact. He was, his yards after contact graded well, which tells you if you can just give him a little more space, he could be that much more effective. But I agree with you. He needs a partner. He needs a tandem running back.
615-737-1025. We will take your thoughts on the Tennessee Titans offensive line. The Titans are back in action tonight at 6 o'clock against the Atlanta Falcons. So right after our program, you can listen right up to kickoff with us here on 1025 The Game. Coming up next, the University of Tennessee made an announcement recently that represents the next arms race in college sports. We discuss that next. Chad Withrow will join us at 4:20. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. 1025 The Game.
Happy Friday, Nashville. This is Derek Mason here. And if you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. They understand how much your bike gear is worth to you and will help you get it all repaired, or better yet, replaced. So you may get a new helmet, a new elbow pads or something, but you will get it new if they can't replace it. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville at 2126 21st Ave South. Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace, Finnegan, and Donick 1025, the game broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Bingett, and David Janes here with you. Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us in the next segment, roughly 20 minutes from now. Ask D. Mace, 5 o'clock. So if you have a question for Derek, think about it. Get back to us at 5 o'clock, 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So earlier this week, the University of Tennessee announced that it is reuniting with Adidas effective July 1st, 2026. So long, Nike. Hello, Adidas. And I didn't really think much of it. David is saving that We're not going to spoil it, Willie. I
Okay.
saw your reaction. David is saving it. Don't you worry.
I thought we missed our cue for a
No,
second.
we did not.
Okay. All right.
David's a professional.
Okay.
Speaking,
I know what I'm doing.
we're talking about professional offensive lines.
I got you.
He is a professional producer. He is saving it. So now people are more interested. See, we're drumming up the interest.
Fanning the flames.
David has something in store for us when Chad Withrow comes on in roughly 20 minutes. So when I saw this news that Tennessee was going back to Adidas, I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I saw an article from Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports with the headline, "What's the next arms race, quote unquote, in college sports? Finding ways to legally exceed the new rev share cap." And the story starts with Danny White, Tennessee athletic director. From Ross Dellinger, quote, "White considered plenty of factors in the decision to move back to Adidas, such as quality of the gear and overall financial terms. But one perhaps stood above the rest. How much NIL support would an apparel company give to Tennessee athletes? Quote, NIL was right up there," White told Yahoo Sports. "We are in a very competitive space. It was at the forefront of my mind." Tennessee announced on Wednesday a return to Adidas. The brand and school struck a 10-year contract that is, quote, "one of the biggest apparel deals in the history of college sports," according to White, likely putting its value at least $10 million annually in product and cash. At the heart of the deal is expected to also be one of the most lucrative NIL components in the history of college apparel deals, described by one of the company's vice presidents as, quote, "establishing a new standard for investment in NIL." In short, the players will get a piece of the $100 million plus pie in a significant way too, and for some of them, immediately. Adidas says it is already working to strike individual deals with Tennessee athletes during the school year, months before the new apparel contract starts next July. Once the partnership begins, the company will offer what it calls, quote, "unprecedented NIL opportunities for UT athletes across all 20 sports."
I think what we're seeing is you have to give Tennessee credit, because just like they were when NIL opened up and was a thing, Tennessee was one of the first to dive into the deep end and say, we are all in, full speed ahead. We've got the people. Let's get our people on this. Let's get this moving. And they are doing that again here. If you, it looks like a lot of teams are going to follow suit with what Tennessee is doing. And so when their deal comes up, they're going to be looking to shape their deal like this. But isn't it amazing that within weeks of the, what do you call it? The revenue sharing, the 20.9, the clearing, what did they call the what was the name for the court case that hit? Well, it had the name across the board. They roll this out, the revenue sharing.
I can't
cap.
recall. I'll have to look.
Supposedly it's a cap, right?
Yes.
But you knew the minute they put that out there that the wheels were going to start turning, how you get around,
circumvent it, yeah,
and then find the loopholes to then go way above the ceiling of that. And you can tell how much research has been put in. The day that thing came out, right, here's what they did. And the beauty of it for all these schools is it's not even cheating, right? All you're doing is finding the language of what the rule says and just getting, just inside on that line and then go wild, right? You don't even have to cheat. The SEC is like, this is easy, man. We used to have to cheat. You don't even have to cheat now. You just have to find the loophole in the rule.
Yeah, I mean, they had to set this 20.5 sort of salary cap across the board. They figured they had to do that at the minimum to try to pretend that they had some type of guidelines. But they knew that, there would be some loopholes. There would be around there would be a way around all of this. And just so happens it's shoe companies and, monies they can offer outside of the 20.5 salary cap that every team has. But here's the question, though, because I don't even in this article, they touched on it, but they really didn't give no solutions, because we have the 20.5 and you have these other NIL deals outside of that can push it up. But who's determining whether that value is correct? Like, if I want to offer you $5 million, who's to say that's above market value? You know, if an independent company, Adidas or whoever, that is not a part of the NCAA or this salary cap that you have established, what if they say, I want to give Adam $5 million
Damn.
for the next 2 years?
Sure.
Who's to say that's too much? How do you determine that's too much? I understand that, you know, you can say, well, that the athlete behind him that was a 5-star, he only got $2 million. Well, that was their fault for only offering him $2 million. So then we're going to start playing with it. This is how we're going to really get around it. Okay, we're going to come together. We're going to make sure, like, at minimum, you're going to be offering $5 million, because that allows the monies to go up. When every school is paying $1 million and this guy over here wants to pay, well, every, you know, booster NIL person wants to pay $1 million, but that booster over there or that NIL sort of entity wants to pay $2 million. Who's to say that's not a part of it's the new market now? It's just like anything. Yeah, the market may be this today, but if I got a guy that's coming out that's supposed to be a can't miss athlete, why shouldn't I be able to offer him, you know, $2 million more than what the guy got last year? Isn't that a part of negotiation? It happens in the NFL, and essentially college is the NFL. It's a pro league. So I'm looking at what Willie got last year, and I'm saying, well, in 2026, I think I'm a little bit better than Willie, so I should get more than Willie. Who's to determine and say, nope, you got to get what Willie gets?
I think they're going to find a way around all of this, and the athletes will get. I don't think you're going to have a lot of the top athletes saying that you're setting a bar and I'm worth more than the bar. I think they'll find a way to pay the top people. I do wonder about the transparency.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's supposed to be what the ruling in June said, is you're now supposed to have kind of a database where everybody says, this is what we're paying Adam, this is what we're paying Derek, this is what we're paying David, etc. But now, as we just talked about, what Tennessee's doing is they're finding the next, and a lot of schools with the apparel deals, instead of it all being about the nice stuff that you get, hey, you get a lot of nice, you know, sweatsuits and shoes and all you want and hats. It's now beyond, and now it's like you can get straight up deals and promote Adidas, quote unquote, and that puts more money in the pocket. But this is the question I have, Adam. This is the question. Is the term more money, more problems going to come into play at some point? How much money? How much money do you need? Right? What is too much?
A lot.
Willie, don't make me tap the sign again. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money.
Exactly.
Don't make me tap the sign again.
But you know that, like, you've got schools like Tennessee, and a lot of the schools like Tennessee, they are building the war chest.
Yes.
And saying, you know what, Georgia's going to have a lot, so we're going to have more than Georgia. Alabama's going to have a lot. We're going to have more than Alabama. And then Alabama's going, oh, no, you're not. We're going to have more than you. We're going to strike a deal that's got more money. But at some point, if you're allotting all this money, unless you're trying to distribute it among the 25 teams you have, and you've got your lacrosse team making great money, and your soccer team and your swim team, unless that's the goal, I do think there's a point with the football team that you're going to have some fat and happy guys who are not good football players, and it's going to create a lot of infighting, a lot of jealousy, I think there is a price to be paid. And I do think it's going to be fraught with, like, I'd almost rather have a lean team that's hungry and not the highest paid team.
I want to focus even more locally on MTSU, because I found this incredibly fascinating on Front Office Sports. The headline, how MTSU added $668,000 to its NIL budget. From the story, quote, for the upcoming season, the Blue Raiders made a new commitment to their football players to gain a financial and competitive edge. Backed by newly appointed GM Dana Marquez, MTSU has saved $668,000 by eliminating several alternate uniforms and cutting back from 408 helmets to reinvest into its football program, including NIL. A $500,000 will come from the helmet reductions, and eliminating the 2 uniforms will save $84,000 each. The money is going toward easing salary cap burdens and the post-House versus NCAA settlement era and hiring new people within the football program, but a large percentage is going toward NIL payments. So MTSU is cutting back on uniforms and helmets to save money to put towards NIL.
It's so funny because back in the day when the rules were what they were, that you couldn't get any extra benefits, and D-Mace, I would be curious your perspective because I think it's not going to be that much different than mine. It was all about the swag, right?
Yes.
Hey, they can't pay us cash, but man, we got some great shoes and we got some extra sweatsuits. And that's how the coaches would try to appease you, right? You got all this nice stuff from Champion. You got all this stuff from Converse. We were a Converse team. Teammates, not a Nike team. But now it's like, hey, I can trade my swag in and get cash money. I would have done that in a heartbeat back in the day, but back then I didn't have that choice.
According to Front Office Sports, the 3-year plan started with cutting 2 of MTSU's uniforms black and gray and 4 of their helmets. Marquez says, quote, "We just went with one color and we did a game helmet and a practice helmet."
Give me the money, man. Forget about the extra.
Yeah. Small schools like that, they got to find ways to cut, inventory somehow so that then that money can go toward NIL, because if you don't have an NIL war chest built up, you're not going to be able to compete with a high school team. You're just not. And MTSU, Coach Mason, they understand that we are a smaller school. We're not getting the monies that some of these bigger schools are getting. So how do we, how do we sort of bring an influx of money into our program without having to go reach for a lot of stuff? Well, what you do is you cut back on a lot of things. But here's I think what's going to make this thing sort of difficult in a sense, because I don't think these kids are going to get fat and happy. I hope they don't anyway. But what's going to happen is going to be more and more and more. You're right about that, Willie. And schools are going to be looking for bigger and bigger deals that goes on. And now when you take an apparel company and they say, well, we're going to give you $500,000 or let's say $20,000 worth of inventory. And the student athletes, no, I don't want that. I want the money now. It's sort of like what certain professionals do now in sports. They go to these companies and they say, well, I'm gonna give you $10 million, and they say, no, just give me 2 or 3% stake in your company. It's a small company. Let me get 2 or 3. You don't even have to pay me. Just I have enough faith in your company that it's going to take off. So I don't want the money. Just give me the stake in the company. In a minute, that's where these young kids are going to be going. Seriously, I'm not talking about Nike and Adidas, stuff like that, where they're not going to give you a stake unless you're like a LeBron or a Michael Jordan. They're not. No, you're not getting it. Or Serena, somebody like that. These great individuals at their respective sports. But smaller companies, these young men and women are going to say, you know what? I got enough NIL money over here. Or I don't want it. Just give me a stake in your company. I believe in your company so much. Give me a stake in your company. I think that's what's going to happen. And that's going to eliminate some of the, I think, money up front to individuals. Because now they're taking a chance on your smaller company. Instead of giving money, they're saying, I'm going to get this 5-star athlete. And say if your company is bringing in, I don't know, maybe maybe $1 million to $5 million per year to your company after you've paid bills and everything else. Well, if I'm a young cat, I'm like, I see that your company is going to be pretty good. You know what? Just give me a percentage or 2 in your company. I don't even want the money. So now you got money to go give to that other person at that school. If I'm an athlete, that's how I'm thinking right now.
Just to illustrate more of the differences between the quote unquote haves and have-nots, here's more from this story in Front Office Sports about MTSU. 30% of the roster is receiving some amount of NIL payout, Marquez says. And although MTSU is using some of its saved money to directly fund these monthly infusions, it's also earmarked a portion of it to form a pool of cash that will go to players. The catch, they must earn it. Marquez says, quote, if we're going to pay you $2,000 a month and you want to make $4,000, you've got to work to get the $4,000, and we show you how to do that. Players are eligible to increase their monthly allocations by working directly for the Blue Raiders. For example, the team visits the local farmers market every Saturday and meets with the vendors. The offensive lineman recently met with a peanut butter company, Tease Nuts,
Oh Lord.
Oh my god.
and created their own
Oh,
spreads they help
Lord.
sell.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
I like how you set that up.
Yes.
I said tease.
Tease.
Tease. T apostrophe S.
Yes.
Tease Nuts.
And then what? Finish reading it.
That
Tease Nuts and
They were
You
working
said-
for him.
they're working.
no,
for
you said it would give some. You said
You
something
got extra
else.
money.
Yeah.
No, it was the wording. It wasn't. It wasn't that. It was.
Well, I've
Don't worry about it.
I've clicked
Don't
away
worry about
from
it.
it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But I'm just like, okay, seriously.
Well, you know what? That's really how it should work. These are habits. You work for money and not just be handed the money. And
Willie, that's been going on
Coach,
forever.
I know.
It's been
I
going.
know.
Hey, you can work here.
I know.
Derek.
Right. I
What I'm
saw a
not doing.
movie-
Don't worry about it. Just go sit in the front.
There was an ancient movie called One on One that starred Robbie Benson. It was like an early 80s movie of the week. And he was a scholarship. It's a tough sell because he did not look like an athlete at all. But he was going off from a small town to be like big time college basketball. And they gave him a quote job, which was to water the golf course. And he got there and the sprinkler system came on. And he realized he doesn't have to show up. He just gets the money. This
He
is
just
his
turned
quote
on a
job.
sprinkler. Yeah, so there you go. It's been happening
This
forever.
movie was like from 1979 or something.
It's been happening forever.
615-737-1025. Before we get to Chad Withrow, let me just quote State Senator Clay Davis from The Wire, and I'm going to clean it up a little bit. I'll take someone's money if they're giving it away.
Yeah.
Why
pretty
work
much so.
for it? I'll take your money if you're giving it away. I'm
Coach
kidding.
Willie has a bone to pick with him.
615.
And so does the Northern Illinois coach. There's a great clip last night. I was fired up. It was like late night. D-May sent a clip. The Northern Illinois football coach. I like that guy.
Yes, but you know what he doesn't believe in? What he should believe in. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. CM Punk, Adam Vingan, 615-737-1025. We'll bring in Chad Withrow. He knows a thing or two about Tennessee. We'll get his thoughts on this and more. I think Willie Donick does have a small bone to pick with Chad Withrow. And we'll do that next as well. 615-737-1025. This week's Nashville's best deal is Fat Bottom Brewing Company. Join Fat Bottom this Saturday, tomorrow, for their Lucky 13 anniversary party at 844th Avenue North. 844th Avenue North in Nashville. It's a full day of casino-themed fun, live tattoos from Black 13, face painting, and of course, ice-cold beer. Get a $100 gift card, half off while supplies last at thegamenashville.com/deals. Plus, don't miss the Lucky 13 anniversary party this Saturday, Fat Bottom Brewing Company, 844th Avenue North in Nashville. I think this is an appropriate way to bring in our next guest, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Ving, and of course, my Adidas by Run DMC. Let's go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com.
Chad didn't have this tape, though, D-Mace. I had the tape.
And welcome in,
the
Chad.
full
Withrow.
album.
Yeah, Chad didn't have it.
Did you, Chad?
I did not have the
See?
cassette tape.
Did you have any cassette tapes, Chad, or
I
were you
did
just CDs only?
I remember having a Kansas cassette tape. I think a Journey cassette tape, but other than that, it was mostly CDs. For this guy. I'm all about physical media, guys, and I had all those big CD sleeves back in the day, and in high school and college. So I think I had like a Legends of Hip Hop Greatest Hits CD that may have had that song on it, but I did not possess the cassette tape. No, I did not.
So, Chad, you tweeted about this the other day. I'm going to read it on the air for those who didn't see it. Quote, I do not like Adidas. I do not like Tennessee going back to Adidas. I do like money. I like Tennessee having more money. Quite the predicament, end quote. And we were just talking about this because Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports had a story about, among other things, Tennessee switching back to Adidas and talking about how it's the next step in the quote-unquote arms race in college sports, finding ways to legally exceed the new rev share cap. So let's unpack that tweet that I just read for everybody.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on with this. And, when I sent that tweet, that's my initial response to the story, which I do like to give, my initial thought on anything. And I'm thinking, I just like Nike as a brand better. I think it looks better. I think the clothes fit better.
I agree with that.
I like more Nike than I do Adidas, just as someone who may end up wearing that apparel. But it really sounds to me like this wasn't much of a decision for Tennessee, that Nike was not going to come close to what Adidas was paying, and that the way that Danny White, who by the way, I fully trust. If Danny White thinks it's a good idea, I'm with Danny White on this because he has not led Tennessee astray on anything yet. But they're making so much more money. And the way Adidas came in and said, we want you to be our premier partner, and they're going to pay Tennessee more than any other college. And you see what they've done with schools like Texas Tech, with Team Mahomes, because they sponsor Patrick Mahomes as well. And Mahomes, sponsors like 15 players at Texas Tech on NIL. Now they hire Candace Parker to be the head. I don't think that's a coincidence, by the way, guys, that she's now the head of women's basketball globally for Adidas. Tennessee and Adidas are about to become very synonymous. And I think from a financial standpoint, that's a very good thing for Tennessee. I could see a Team Peyton coming where there's going to be NIL payments made through Adidas for a Team Peyton, where he's going to sponsor 10 to 15 players on campus in different sports. There's a lot of possibilities here, and certainly the next big arms race is finding ways to get creative, to go over that $22 million or whatever that number is in revenue sharing. And Tennessee's going to do that with a lot of the money that's going to be coming in through Adidas, that I think by the end of the contract is going to be $20 million a year. I don't think it's that throughout the entire contract, but it's a very lucrative deal. So the more I read into it, the more I like it. But just on its face, I'm a Nike guy over Adidas every day of the week.
Now, Chad, our resident Commodore, has a slight bone to pick with you, so I'm going to turn it over to Willie Donick.
Okay,
well, I'm sure he does. I can't wait for this.
Well, I want to get to that in a second, but Chad, I have one follow up on this because I'm really curious. Because as I said earlier in the show, Tennessee has been really good at being at the forefront. When a new rule happens, they're on it, and they're ahead of a lot of teams. I was reading the article on Yahoo where a lot of schools don't have their deal come up for another year or two. What do you think the reaction of a lot of the big hitters will be as they see what Tennessee has done and then try to counter?
I mean, I would go find, that apparel brand. To me, like the response would be, let's say someone's got a contract coming up and they could find some up-and-coming brand. Think about Kevin Plank and Under Armour back in the day. Someone that's got some money to spend, maybe someone that's got a billionaire backer as an investor that has got a new brand. If you could team up and be the premier school for that new brand, to me, that's the real lucrative money-making part of this. Nike has so many teams that they spread the wealth all over the place. But I think if you could partner with that brand that makes sense for you, that you could get the most money for them from them, I think that's probably the best way to do it, Willie. But there's not a lot of brands out there that schools are partnering with. So I think it's difficult. I think it was right time, right place. And I really thought the decision would be harder because I thought Nike would come closer to matching, but they didn't. Keep in mind, in 2014, when Tennessee moved from Adidas to Nike, Nike did not bid as much as Adidas. The money was actually a little bit less, but it was close. And I think it was Butch Jones at the time and others on campus said, look, our guys want to wear Nike. It's cooler than Adidas. It's going to help us in recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
So the powers that be at Tennessee listened and said, yeah, we'll take a little less money and we'll go to Adidas. But think about all the things that have changed in college sports in the 11 years since, right? Or 12 years they've been with Nike. And now that money makes a big difference because it can go right back to the student athletes. And the money's way bigger for Adidas this go around. So things have certainly changed in 12 years. But I mean, honestly, can you make Adidas cool? Well, I don't know if it's ever going to be cooler than Nike, but it is pretty cool. Way more money. And that's what Tennessee is figuring out.
All right. So Chad, on your show with Hut, you guys had a little beef with other teams' fans in the SEC. And you have become sort of the heel of the Vanderbilt fans. You guys love to go back and forth on the social media. I've enjoyed the banter throughout the years. Vanderbilt fans love to hate Chad. Chad is there for it every day and fires back. And so you had this thing about, the collective Vanderbilt fans and your beef with them. So share that first for people who didn't see this, because my problem is the representation on your show to try to represent the Vanderbilt crew here.
Yeah. So first off, I think I'm a better representative of the Vanderbilt fan base, or at least their thinking or the demographic in the Mid-State, than our guest on the show who did this, Josh Pate, who didn't grow up here. But I'll get to that in a sec. First off, I do want all Vandy fans to know Vanderbilt was the first of all 16 SEC teams we're doing this with. So the idea was it's not the only one. Like
you're not singling them out. You're going to do this all around.
Vandy fans love to hate me, and I love it too. And it's great. We kind of have a love-hate relationship. But they're the first of 16 that we were posting. So we had this segment with Josh Pate, who hosts a big college football show. Josh is notoriously positive about everybody because he's good at what he does. But I think part of his gig is I want everybody to like me in the SEC. So I'm going to say positive things about them. So the premise of the whole bit was Hutton and I would give what annoys us the most about each fan base or program. And then Josh Pate would tell us where we're wrong, right? He would set us straight. So my issue with Vanderbilt is the fixation with Tennessee. I believe that the common Vanderbilt fan, not the Vanderbilt grad, like I'm not talking to Willie and I'm not talking, to people I know that went to the school or played for the school, even though certainly Tennessee is their biggest rival. And I got no beef with Tennessee being Vandy's biggest rival at all. My issue is that a lot of Vandy fans, especially the ones I grew up with that never went to the school, that's all they think about. Like I have a hard time believing they hate anybody else in the SEC, whether they don't like them. The anger towards Tennessee is so much all the time that you get the sense that they almost care more about Tennessee losing than Vandy winning in games. I spotlighted that one tweet from one of these Vandy parody accounts who's very funny at times.
Yeah.
And he said, 1-11 and a win over Tennessee is a successful year for Vandy football, like every year. And I'm thinking, this proves my point. Like if you could go 7-5 or go 1-11, but ruin Tennessee season at the end of it, I think the majority of Vandy fans would take that. And that annoys me about the fan base. But I also think that the Vandy grad and the sidewalk Vandy fan are very different.
I don't think they're different at all. I think what you're saying is true to an extent. It's an exaggeration. They don't want it more than success. But the word that I think and Adam, the bell isn't here yet, right?
No, not yet.
Do you have the bell yet?
Yeah,
there it is.
Yes.
Because we have a bell when we use a big word.
A big word.
A
yes.
big word. So
yes.
hit the bell. The word today is schadenfreude, right?
Yes.
And the definition, Adam, would be what?
We discuss this all the time back in the day about this is a common thing with fans. Go ahead, because I completely agree with you on this.
Schadenfreude, I believe that's how it's pronounced. I don't know.
if you're speaking German,
it's a German word.
I need to brush up on my German.
The pleasure derived by someone from another person's misfortune.
Right. You take a lot of pleasure in other people's pain, right? And so that is absolutely a thing, right? But here's the problem I have, Chad. I'm willing to admit it that Vanderbilt fans absolutely have this. It's a thing. But Josh, the guy you had representing Vanderbilt on the show, he was a terrible representation of a Vanderbilt fan.
I don't disagree with you, Willie.
It was
I
brutal.
Love Josh. I don't disagree with you.
Can I give you why? This is the why for me as a
go ahead.
person who walked onto the Vanderbilt campus as
became a legend,
a naive freshman, fall of 1989. I walked in, signed to a scholarship for Vanderbilt basketball. From afar, I'm like, well, this is going to be great. Memorial Madness. Nashville's a pretty big city. I didn't grow up here. I thought that in Nashville, there would be a huge amount of Vanderbilt fans, right? Because I saw the films of Memorial Gym. Packed every night. I went to my recruiting trip to a football game against Duke. Stadium was full. I just assumed that because it's Nashville, most people rooted for Vanderbilt. I realized very quickly that you are surrounded when you're a Vanderbilt person. You're surrounded by, and I thank my teammates, Charles Mays and Kevin Anglin, who grew up in Nashville, who kind of set me straight and said, no. There's some Vanderbilt fans out there. Yes, there's enough, but you're surrounded. You're outnumbered by the Tennessee fans. Oh, and by the way, there's a lot of Alabama fans, Kentucky fans, et cetera, right? So I learned quickly. So the Vanderbilt fan Josh tried to make it out to, we're the old adage of, we're snooty, we're lawyers, we're intellectually superior. That's not what it's about. It's about being the scrappy underdog who's outnumbered. And you fight for every inch you got. And you're the underdog. You grasp that. That, to me, is the mentality of where this comes from. And so you're like the brother that's fighting back that, okay, if we can't beat you, then we hope everybody else beats you, all of that stuff. So it's not about the superior. He was talking about shopping at Whole Foods and we're self-worth is way more. We can dominate you. And that's not what it's about at all.
Willie.
It was actually Sprouts, not Whole Foods. I believe it was Sprouts.
It was Sprouts.
It was Sprouts.
Yeah.
You go to Sprouts, Willie?
What is Sprouts? Alfalfa Sprouts?
It was Sprouts.
Brussels Sprouts?
I definitely brought Whole Foods in the conversation. Look, Willie, I think you're nailing it. Like everyone listening to this right now, everyone in Middle Tennessee totally understands what you're talking about, right? It is like you are surrounded, you're like Jon Snow in Game of Thrones and you got the sword out and you got the horde running at you, right? If you're a Vandy fan in your neighborhood, at your church, at work, wherever you are, because of the amount of Tennessee fans. I totally get that. I'll also say it's probably pretty nice to fall back on my degree is worth more than you and I'm smarter than you and have more money. And I do think that some Vandy fans like to do that, which is always fun. Here's my thing, though, about Vandy, and this is where I want them to get, and I think a personality like Clark Lee could get them there. And we actually interviewed Clark Lee the next day, and funny enough, I ranked all the SEC coaches on the Any Given Saturday show in terms of likability, and I ranked Clark Lee number one that I saw on the show. I had Brian Kelly distant last, and Clark Lee was number one in terms of likability because I believe him. He's a believable guy. It's a believable chip on his shoulder. That whole speech he gave before the Auburn game, and I asked him about if that actually happened, where he heard the coach talking about having to create energy that day and how mad he was about that and how disrespectful it was. And we're about to go out there and earn some respect. And they went out there and beat Auburn. It fired me up. I loved it. I want to take that energy. I want to displace that to other teams other than Tennessee. I want Vandy to be big enough and good enough to where now they hate Auburn or they hate Ole Miss or they hate Kentucky, close to the same level as Tennessee.
Good luck.
Look, Vandy's way down the list of rivals for Tennessee, but I will say, we talked about it last week, when James Franklin had them rolling or when Vandy's beating Tennessee, that ranking, right? Tennessee fans move Vandy up of rivals when Vandy is relevant and beating them something. So that's definitely a moving chart for the Tennessee fans out there. I just want Vandy to have another rival at some point. I just get the sense that they just are kind of okay with everybody except for Tennessee. I want to see a little more hatred, Willie. I want to see your teeth a little bit more as a Vandy fan. That's what I want.
Kentucky basketball is pretty close. I would say that would be the one exception, but I don't know that that's going to happen overnight, Chad. What you're hoping for? So the Schadenfreude will continue.
Bowl games, Clark Lee with that attitude and keep getting the bowl games and battling in football games that matter. And I think you'll get there. I do. That's not me placating to Vandy fans or anything else. I truly love Clark Lee, and I love the direction of the football program. So I hope that it develops more rivals.
Chad Withrow of Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow has been our guest on D. Mace, Fingan, and Donick. Chad, excellent stuff as always, my friend. We'll chat next week.
Tell Josh to call me. I'll get him going. Tell Josh that let's talk a little bit. I got to work on.
Yeah,
he's got to work on his game.
We need to get you, Willie. We need to get you on the show as the Vandy representative next time.
Okay.
And by the way, I got to head out to Sprouts to load up for the weekend.
All right, enjoy Sprouts, my friend. Chad Withrow on the program. 615-737-1025. I can't wait for Derek Mason, a proud Michigan State Spartan, to respond to our next topic.
Yes.
And that's coming up next. 615-737-1025. Before we get there, though, let's test your speed dial. If you want a pair of tickets to the Nashville Dance Fest at the legendary Nashville Palace, September 5th through 7th, be caller number 1 at 615-737-1025. A pair of tickets to the Nashville Dance Fest at the legendary Nashville Palace, September 5th through 7th can be yours if you are caller number 1 at 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Bingen, 1025 The Game.
Hey, this is Derek Mason, and you heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose some weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a resolution to shed some extra pounds, only to face disappointment. But I got some good news, because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. You know how I know? Because they did it for me, and I have dropped the desirable weight that I needed to drop. So much so that I got friends telling me, hey, man, you're looking good. You dropped some weight, man. You're looking good. And you know what I tell them? It was Cool Springs MD. So you know what? Connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
D-Mace, Fingan, and Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. I want to bring up this next topic, mostly to hear Derek Mason react to it. As you know, Derek Mason is extremely proud to have attended Michigan State University.
Go green.
Go white.
A proud Spartan. So I want to hear what Derek Mason has to say about the punishment that the hated Wolverines of the University of Michigan received today for the entire Connor Stallions fiasco. Here are the bullet points. The Michigan penalties: 4 years probation, fines that could surpass $30 million, recruiting restrictions, Jim Harbaugh, who is now coaching in the NFL, a 10-year show cause order starting in 2028 following the current 4-year show cause penalty, Sharon Moore, a 2-year show cause order, 2-game suspension, 2 games in 2025, 1 in 2026. Connor Stallions himself, an 8-year show cause order. Denard Robinson, a 3-year show cause order. So the most important thing, however, is that the University of Michigan is not receiving a postseason ban, and the University of Michigan is not vacating any wins. So Derek Mason, take off your green and white glasses for a moment. Actually put them back on. I want to hear what you think about all of this.
Listen, the Big Ten is not going to cut off their nose and spite their face. They're not going to do it. And what I mean by that, they're not going to penalize their team and take one of their teams potentially out of the college playoffs. That's just not going to do it. It's too much money involved for them to do it. It's cowardly by the Big Ten. It truly is. But I do understand it, because now, if this would have happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, then yes, I think they would have vacated the season. The coaches probably would have had a show cause, and they would have been penalized with scholarships, which means they probably wouldn't have taken away scholarships. Is just as bad as banning somebody from the playoffs. Because if I take a number of scholarships away from your team, you can't build your team the way you want to, and eventually it's going to erode
your NIL money and pay the freight anyway. Like,
yeah,
like they act like that's a thing now. Like,
exactly.
They're not even aware that the scholarship maybe isn't worth what it used to be.
Yes, it's not, but that's, to me, how they would try to do it. But I understand what they said, and because I am, as much as I hate, I loathe. Let me say that I loathe the University of Michigan. There we go.
Good vocab.
I loathe them, but even in my loathing, I do agree with one thing, because I've always agreed with this. You can go back. It's hard to punish the kids for grown folks doing. For grown folks' transgressions. They knew exactly what they were doing, all of them. So it's hard to then say, you know what, incoming guys, now that we've got rid of that coaching staff, they show causes 2 to 10 years, we're going to discipline and punish y'all now. The ones that are here, we're going to punish y'all and anybody else that come here for the next 5 seasons or 6 seasons. I've always thought that was unfair. And even though I loathe the Wolverines, Scum University, I am not going to be a hypocrite when it comes to that. I try not to be a hypocrite anyway.
How noble of you, Derek.
I'm about to say, I'm a little disappointed.
Because Willie,
D-Mace.
Because I can't. Believe me, I want to go in. I do.
You're trying to be above board. You're being the bigger
when
person.
When they go low, we go high.
Right. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
I'm trying to go high, man.
You don't want to be known as the guy that's just hating on.
Be a little petty, Derek.
So I don't have anything.
I said I loathe them. I really do. Like anything that represents the University of Michigan, sports-wise, badminton, polo,
darts,
cornhole, anything. And it made it, you know what happened this morning? It made it so bad. I talked to my son this morning. He said, Dad, I'm locked in. I'm studying for my MCAT. So I said, okay, great. I said, what do you thinking like as far as states? She was like, well, I was thinking, maybe out Cali somewhere, Texas, he said the state of Michigan. So I kind of went over and it's like state of Michigan. And I was like, okay, what school in Cali? He told me, what school in Texas? I was like, what school in Michigan? University of, I said, whoa, what? I said, Michigan State got a good program. He was like, yeah, Dad, I know, but Michigan has a really good. I was like, man.
He said that without even hesitating.
He said it.
He didn't even prepare you.
He knew how much it would get under my skin. He knew how much it would get under my skin. And I said, you know what? I became a dad, and I said, listen, son, if you want to go to Michigan, it's fine with you. I will support it, Michigan, but I will not, and I repeat, I will not wear any apparel from the University of Scum. I will never do it. But you can go there. So there you go.
Can I read my favorite part of the 74-page report from the NCAA as it relates to Connor Stalions? Quote, his conduct following his separation from Michigan hindered the enforcement staff's investigative efforts in numerous ways. In a November 9th, 2023 recorded phone call between Stalions and student athlete 1, Stalions told him that his personal phone was, quote, shattered in 1,000 pieces under a pond. Stalions also said, quote, they don't have hard drives of the film. My film is in the bottom of the pond, end quote. When asked about those comments during the hearing, Stalions admitted that he disposed of his phone in the pond.
In the pond.
Just you rat.
This is the thing. This is the thing.
Scum University.
I don't have anything against Michigan. I don't. I know you do.
I do.
But what I loathe is cheating, and they cheated.
Yeah.
And I don't even care at all how much of an advantage they got or didn't get. They blatantly disregarded the rules and said, we're going to cheat. And we're going to do it right in front of everybody's face, and we're going to make a production out of it. There's a 30 for 30 about this guy. But here's what really disappoints me. Everything in this report, how many pages was it?
74.
74. Mm-hmm. They knew all 74 pages worth of this stuff during the season.
Yes.
2 years ago.
Oh, they knew
and they didn't have the guts to make them ineligible for postseason when they knew, because the Big Ten didn't have the guts to do it. Because like you said, they might win the national championship.
Yes.
Oh, and we don't want to penalize the kids. They cheated.
Yeah, you're right.
And so everybody else, $30 million for a national championship? Every Michigan fan's laughing all the way. Sure, man, whatever the penalties are, that's fine. Coach Harbaugh's gone. He's coaching. We got our championship. They had the chance to do it, and they didn't have the guts. And now they're like, oh, look at these penalties, show cause at $30 million. Oh, we're really coming down hard on the Wolverines. No, you're not. It's all after the fact. You didn't put any postseason ban. It's a slap on the wrist. It's money.
You know what?
They had all the evidence in during the season.
Willie is a lot. Y'all ever seen that skit where former President Obama was on stage? And Keenan Peele was like the alter ego, like the angry Obama.
The translator.
Yeah,
right.
Willie's my translator. Willie was my translator right there. He said all the things that I wanted to say, but didn't say.
Tried to stay above board.
Exactly. I tried to stay above board. So Willie just came in and said what I really wanted to say.
His anger translator, specifically. All right. Derek's fired up. 615-737-1025. So it is a great time for Ask D-Mace. Call us, text us, 615-737-1025. Any and all questions for Derek Mason. It can be about sports. It can be about life. It can be about
anything.
If you got a question for Derek, now is the time. 615-737-1025. We start Ask D-Mace. Coming up next, Willie Dunnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Derek Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask D-Mace.
We'll welcome you in.
Now, D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for Ask D-Mace on D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. You know what to do. Call us, text us, 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. If there is something you have always wanted to know from Derek Mason, now is the time. 615-737-1025. Last week, I learned that neither of my co-hosts were familiar with Oops All Berries, which I was incredibly disappointed about.
Nope, we were not familiar.
And then I sent y'all a picture of the cereal when I was at the grocery store.
And still didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, it still didn't ring a bell.
And I also thought, and maybe I have to try it for myself, but I think the balance of the Captain Crunch with your choice of berries is the better play than just all of the berries. Because that's what that is, right? It's just all of the berries minus the Captain Crunch.
Well, I used to do that.
Yes.
When I had the crunch berries, I used to take the Captain. I used to just, filter through and get some of the berries out, like some extra berries.
Heck yeah. Well, this eliminates that step. You don't have to do that.
But I still want the other stuff too. I just don't want the berries alone.
Well, hopefully I won't learn anything problematic about either of you today, because I was a little disappointed about that. Yeah, all right. Let's start with Joey from Bellevue on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Again, if you want to get in on this, 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joey from Bellevue. Derek, would you go cage diving with great white sharks?
Okay. Oh, man. More probably not.
I can't imagine you doing it.
Yeah. Now, I will. I
need to see the cage.
Yeah, I need to see the cage too. But no, I've seen too many movies where the cage has broke or the shark has gotten inside the cage.
Yeah.
And that ain't good.
Thing up.
I saw one thing on Instagram, and it was real. They jumped the shark somehow, some way got into the cage, and they were freaking out like it's the guy, and the guy ended up getting out of the cage. But see, like, I don't want that to happen. But I have swam with sharks before. Now, they were not aggressive sharks, but they were pretty big. And
cage?
No cage. Those sharks wouldn't mess with nobody. It was about 30 of us out there too. This was a big group, and the shark, and it was so cool that.
So you've done it.
Yeah. So what were we? Bor. And one of the guides dove all the way. He dove at least like 20 feet. It had to be. And he was riding the fin of this. It was a docile shark. I forget. I forgot what is the most docile shark out there. It was one of those.
Nurse shark?
Probably, yeah, nurse shark. And he had the fin of the nurse shark. But he was at the bottom. I was like, ooh, it's kind of cool. But then I realized it's a shark. And there's more sharks out here. Okay, I'm about to get back in the boat. I got back in quickly. But I did swim with sharks along with 30 other people. So I was hoping that if that shark got hungry, they would eat them first and not me.
I went scuba diving with my dad a long time ago when we were on a family vacation in the Caribbean. And before you go, you take a class. They teach you certain hand signals so that you can communicate with each other. So my dad and I are scuba diving in this incredible setting. And I see my dad trying to get my attention, and he's pointing in the other direction, keeps pointing in the other direction. Like, oh, there must be something really cool. I turn around. There's a barracuda within inches of my face. I can see the little sharp teeth. Not quite a shark, but still incredibly terrifying to be face to face with a barracuda. Let's go to Leo on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Leo, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, guys.
No problem.
I got a two-part question for D Mason.
Okay.
One part's not related to the other. The first is this: you're a special teams ace, and I used to enjoy watching you when you were with the Titans, and even later when you were at the Raisins. Return of punts, kicks. Who's the best punt returner in your opinion in the NFL right now?
Wow, none of them really, because and because they don't allow them to. It's punt return and kickoff return isn't like it used to be.
Right.
So they've tried, for the last couple of years prior to this year. Now that they've instituted some stuff back, it was almost like they eliminated the special teams unit. And when they did that, it was like I sort of lost like the excitement to even want to watch that portion of the special teams, because usually it was kicked out of bounds, kicked high, or on kickoff they would just kick it out the back of the end zone. I think the NFL realized that, and they want to bring that excitement and that element back to the game. But if you're talking about all time, I mean, it got to be Devin Hester. I can go back to Mel Gray, Mitchell out of
that Brian Mitchell
from
Washington.
Washington, and he played for the
Eagles.
Arizona Cardinals and the Eagles. So guys like that. Even what's the little running back for the New Orleans Saints?
Darren Sproles.
Yeah, Darren Sproles. He was a good returner. But Devin Hester is by far the greatest returner.
What's your second question, Leo?
My second question: what's going on with Sparty? Are they ever coming back?
Yeah, they'll be back, man. They're
Thanks,
coming
Leo.
back. Thank you. They had a okay season last year. I watched just about every game. They have some players. That freshman wide receiver they had last year, he's going to be a stud. The quarterback's pretty good. He needs to cut down on a lot of his mistakes. They need to get that defense back, because at one point they had a really good defense. I don't think they are defensively where they used to be. But I think they're still a good team. So Spartans will be back. Don't worry about it. We kick Michigan's you-know-what, and then we'll kick everybody else's you-know-what.
Those dirty, rotten cheaters, right, Willie?
Absolutely.
Let's go to Trey on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Trey, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, my guys.
What's going on, Trey?
Not much. Hey, Derek, I want to ask you, how many touchdowns do you think we're going to score tonight? And are we capable of scoring more than 3 touchdowns in this season? And thank y'all. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank
you, Trey. Appreciate it. Are they? I think they're capable of scoring 3 touchdowns.
Did he ask? Are they capable of scoring 3 touchdowns this season? I
think
sure hope so.
I think he meant this game. I was hoping he meant this game. Yeah, they're capable of doing it. I don't know if you heard, Trey, but I don't think a lot of veteran guys are playing.
No.
But this gives an opportunity for some of these younger guys with Cam Ward to get in there, get their feet wet, get comfortable with being with him inside of a real game, albeit it's preseason. Do I think they're going to score 3 touchdowns tonight? I think they will. I think they want to go out there and establish and prove something tonight. I'm not saying Cam's going to throw the 3 touchdowns. I predict he's going to throw at least one of them.
Oh.
I think the others will come, via run and maybe another pass.
Meanwhile, I believe starting at quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, Easton Stick, which I thought was a piece of hockey equipment.
That could be.
Easton used to make some good aluminum bats back in the day too.
Yeah.
The Black Magic was the 80s bat of choice.
That's the one to get the ball out the park.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go to James in Ashland City on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. James, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me. Earlier in the week, Derek, I called and talked about getting a veteran backup quarterback. You remember I mentioned Joe Flacco and I mentioned Jake Browning, and you all told me that Jake Browning was not a free agent.
Yes.
Now that we've signed Simeon, my question to you is, do you think that's a right call, signing a veteran to back up Cam Ward just in case something tragic happens to him? Or would you have rather the Titans waited until later on in the preseason when more people were cut? What would you prefer, having Trevor Simeon or waiting to get possibly something better later on when cuts were more continuous? And now hang up and listen.
Thanks, James.
Thank you, James. Here's the good thing about it, James. One, and we've talked about it ad nauseum. The Titans have the number 1 pick when it comes to guys being released. They have the first pick of the litter. And at this time, Trevor Simeon was a guy because Boyle didn't prove he should even be on the team. So they went out and got Trevor Simeon. I'm not mad. I'm not upset with what they did. I think it was a good thing, because ultimately, if Trevor Simeon doesn't show or Brandon Allen doesn't show that they're capable of being a backup, then the good part about it is there will be more quarterbacks released, and you will get first dibs on those quarterbacks. So right now, yes, bringing in Trevor Siemian because the Boyle didn't pan out. That was a good move for the Titans. I still believe the Titans need a better backup quarterback than both Brandon Allen and Trevor Siemian. I really do, because my thing is, I don't want him. The goal isn't to make him the starter. The goal is for that guy to push Cam and to be there and to know his role. And if we do need him, he's there to come in and win games for us if we need him. That's what I need my backup quarterback to be. And right now, I don't think Brandon Allen can do that. I know Trevor Siemian has been in the NFL for a while, but I'm not sure if he was asked to win 3, maybe 4 games, I don't know if he can do it. They need someone that they can bring in that is okay with this role, but also can come in and win you some games, 3, 4 games. Hell, we had that, when I was playing. So that backup quarterback is one of the most, if not the most important position in football, because you are one play away from him getting into the game. And if he's not ready to play or capable to play, then, man, you up the creek without a paddle.
Let's go to Andrew on our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Andrew, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good.
Good.
So, D-Mace, I got a kind of a quirky but fun one for you. What is the best pregame meal you've ever had at an opposing team's stadium? And what is the worst meal you've ever had? I will sit back and listen.
Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, man. It's not necessarily at the other teams, because we don't have breakfast at the facility, at the stadium. We have it at the hotel we usually stay in. And, it's good food. Hey, it's good food. We're pampered. You remember that? We pampered. We got nice places to sleep. We fly in first class. We get the best of the best of the best meals. And they're right about that. So I'm not going to try to sit here and deny it. But I don't think I had, because my go-to, once I stopped eating beef, my go-to was give me some pasta, eggs, and then I would get a pancake. It's odd, I know.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I would, put the syrup on the pancakes, but I loved when my syrup got kind of mixed up with my noodles. Huh. Oh, it was so good. That was so good. That was my pregame meal.
Buddy. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Willie? Did you have a pregame meal?
Did you have the worst?
I never had a bad. There was no. They make sure there's no bad meal.
But the other team is not catering for you.
Yeah, they're not catering for us. Yeah, so
right.
It doesn't matter. Like, we're in our own hotel. Yes. They're doing whatever they're doing in their hotel.
Willie, you know what this reminds me of? The infamous night in Detroit for the Nashville Predators. Remember that? Roughly 10 years ago.
Yes. The pregame meal did not go well.
No, it did not.
And only during the game did they find this out.
Hey, guess where the game was? In Detroit, Joe Louis Arena.
Yeah. There was, there were some legalese. I think they tried to avoid saying directly, but we know what happened. Everybody ate a certain thing at the pregame meal, and everybody who ate that particular thing was having trouble during that game. And the Predators had a lead.
Yes.
And by the end of the game, almost everybody was sick. Everybody who had the chicken soup or whatever it was, right? I think it was chicken soup.
I remember walking into the dressing room that night.
I hope the statute of limitations is ended on this. I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
I'm only sharing firsthand experience here. I remember walking into the dressing room, and you know how in cartoons, when people get sick, they turn green? Mm-hmm. This is the first time I ever saw an actual human being look green.
It was brutal.
Craig Smith was green. Like, his face had a greenish hue to it. I was like, this is bad news.
And he wasn't alone.
No,
there was some other green dudes. They were during the game. They were going back to the dressing room and upchucking, and then coming back and trying to finish. It was a valiant effort to finish the game. I was on the plane coming back.
I can only imagine what that flight was like.
Craig Smith bolting to the front. It just made the loudest noise as he was just trying to get through it. But the crazy part was they had to play the next night.
At home. Yes.
At home.
It was the first half of a back-to-back.
It was I think UC Saros's first win.
Mm.
Isn't that right? They called him up because he was the only healthy goalie. Chris Mason, I think, was called upon to maybe be the emergency guy.
Yes.
And
it was October of 2016.
Yeah. So Chris Mason, I think, was on a call to be the backup. And they
Yes.
it wasn't I think Pekka was too sick to play. Marek Mazanets, I think, was the guy that was toughing it out as the backup.
And the Predators won that night
They won
against
the
the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yes, Phil Kessel scored like on the first play of the game. You're like, oh man, they're gonna get beat 7-0. There's no way. But they rallied and won the game.
Here was the best part. The next morning, they're back at home. Peter Laviolette does his pregame news conference. And I have found the direct quote from my story in the Tennessean from nearly 10 years ago. Quote, "Nobody wants to talk hockey, just want to talk throw up and diarrhea."
Oh, wow.
So, D-Mace, be glad
yes.
that you did not have a bad
Yes.
pregame meal experience.
See, I never got into like eating soup and stuff like that before game or in the morning. Yeah, because stuff like that can happen. Like you can get sick. It may just hit you wrong. Find yourself in the restroom more so than on the field.
Let's go to Chris in the Borough on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Chris, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen. D-Mace, I just wondering aloud here if the team would be better served if Chad Brinker had nothing to do with football operations and he just handed it over to Mike Borgonzi. It seems like, I thought anyway, the team president took care of other things other than the football kind of things. What's your take on that?
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Listen, they all have to work in unison, I believe. Brian Callahan has a job to do. We assume that Borgonzi, and we haven't heard at least for the last month and a half, 2 months, we haven't heard anything outside of, him not being in control, meaning Borgonzi. So I would assume that Borgonzi is in control. He is doing, GM duties. They do believe he is the guy. Brinkert, I really don't know what is Willie. What is his? What is he tasked to do?
Brinker,
other than overseeing
the supreme ruler of football.
Supposedly, I think he is the creator of the infrastructure.
Yes,
right. He is the creator of the system in which Borgonzi operates as the general manager.
But Borgonzi is still.
But there's still a lot of some definitions that are murky as to who has the final say, etc. So
that's why I'm assuming, because we've heard Borgonzi speak even in a press conference. I think he was doing much of the talking at one point. I think they're going to allow Borgonzi to do his job the way GMs do it. See if the team starts to do bad, what happens then? Because we've seen, Amy make some decisions during the season, and some people say they were knee-jerk reactions. Hey, it is what it is. But we'll see if the Titans start off, say 1-4, 2-6, something like that. We'll see who really is in charge, I think.
615-737-1025. We have plenty of texts and plenty of calls to get to. Hang tight. 615-737-1025. We'll continue Ask D-Mace if you want to get in on it. 615-737-1025. Willie Dunnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Finken, Donick, 1025, the game. Let's continue. Ask D-Mace.
This is me. Okay, people are late to the party. I declared this at the beginning of the show. I took over the DJ
Cutting
duties
edge.
today.
It's cutting
This
edge.
is cutting edge
That's
stuff.
right.
Chic.
And the song came out when?
Probably 1978, 77.
Very
Was
cutting
it
edge.
mid 70s or late 70s?
Maybe late 70s. Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Nile Rodgers on the bass. Chic.
Let's go to Jason on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Jason has been waiting patiently. Jason, thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
Hey, D-Mace.
Hey, what's going on?
Kind of a three-part. You'll be able to answer two of them really quickly, but the third one I'd like to really get your opinion on. First off, what does the receiver room look like at the end of all cuts? Does Restrepo make the cut? Secondly, my opinion, and you can shoot me down, tell me if I'm right or wrong, I think Gunner takes over the tight end spot. And third, and most importantly to me, is there any concern in you as much as it is in me with all the batted balls I'm seeing with Cam Ward, his height, his throwing motion, and is the remedy to that always playing him out of the shotgun / pistol? And I'll sit back and listen. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome. Jason, the receiver room, let's start with that. How do I think it looks at the end of camp? I think Ridley, Lockett, and Jefferson. I think those three guys. Then
the two rookies.
The two rookies. I'm assuming the two rookies, or at least one of the two. Let's say
You're
that.
not going to cut DK or Io Manor.
They could throw him on. Hey, man, listen, I've seen crazier things happen. So
okay,
but let's just throw that's 5, depending on how many they're going to keep, 6 or 7. Man, I would almost say James Prochet right now.
Don't forget about your man Bryce Oliver.
I know Bryce. It's going to. Those are going to be, to me. Those are going to be the last 2 spots, because I think probably Jaquan Jackson will go on practice squad. Mason Kinsey may go on practice squad. Xavier Restrepo may go on practice squad.
What is the record? Is Mason Kinsey getting close to being a record holder in most days on the practice squad?
He could be. I'm not sure, but maybe this is his last year of being on the Titans practice squad, and he has to go somewhere else.
There used to be a rule. Do they still have those?
I don't know.
They
He had
relaxed.
spent so many years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know now veteran guys can be on practice squad. Before it was just relegated to like first year guys, rookies. But now veteran guys can be on practice squad too. So I'm looking at Ridley, Lockett, Jefferson, Io Manor, DK, and between Prochet and Bryce Oliver, or they may both, depending on how many they're going to keep in the running backs room, knowing that Tajay Spears may not start the first game because of a high ankle sprain. So that's how the receiver room will look to me. What was the other question? It was
about Gunnar Helm.
Oh yeah, Gunnar
being
Helm,
tight end 1.
I know, not when the season. I don't think when the season starts he will be tight end number 1. If it's going to happen, I think it'll happen later in the season. I don't think it's going to happen any this year. I think Chig, unless he gets hurt, I think Chig remains tight end 1. But just because you're tight end 1 doesn't mean that the second guy isn't going to get just as many snaps as you do. So just because I'm saying Gunnar Helm will not be tight end number 1 doesn't mean he's not going to play a crucial role in what they're doing from an offensive standpoint.
And
so,
quickly, the third question was about the batted balls for Cam Ward.
We talked about this after the first game and into the second practice, the first initial practice with Atlanta, and there were no batted balls. I think Teron said there were no batted balls
if I
in
recall
practice.
correctly.
I don't think there were batted balls in the game. So hopefully I'm taking that as he's gotten used to the rush and he's altered it a little. He's adapted, or he is adapting to the game, and he's altering, his mechanics slightly based upon what's in front of him. So I'm not worried about it, because it was high 2 weeks ago, right, Willie? Where in practice he was getting balls batted down left and right, but then after that it kind of lessened.
You have to hope that he learns
Yeah.
what's there, what's not. And as long as he's willing to adjust and not stubborn about it,
yeah,
and as long as he can still be effective with it, then I think it'll work itself out.
Yeah.
Josh on our text line says, Derek, what if while you were playing at Michigan State, this happened to your team in terms of the Michigan cheating scandal?
Mm-hmm.
How would you have handled it? And how would you have felt about winning a championship knowing your coaches cheated?
We would have never did that. We are the Spartans, okay? We hold ourselves to a higher standard than cheating.
Michigan State men.
Yes. But hypothetically, I got to say again, I mean, listen, students shouldn't, I've said this in prior years and I'm saying it now. That's why I really couldn't go in like I wanted to. Willie did it for me. The athlete, I don't believe, should pay for the transgressions of the coach. That's just the way I feel. Whether it's Michigan State or whatnot, but the penalty should be harsh for the coaches, as they were, for Michigan coaches, in particular Jim Harbaugh. But I'm not sure he's coming back anytime soon to the college anyway, so it don't matter. So yeah, if it was the Michigan State Spartans, and if I'm there as a student athlete, then I'm there for my team. I'm riding it down with my team. So whatever they decide, let's move forward. But if I've already left, like if I'm in this situation now that I'm in, I'm still, approaching it how I approached Michigan earlier. I feel bad for the coaches, but they got to suffer. But I wouldn't want the players there now to suffer.
All right. The self-proclaimed number one caller on 102.5 The Game is on our phone line. Mark in Nashville. Mark, go ahead, my friend.
Oh, not proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed.
Like I told you the other day, Adam. What's up, man? Adam, Willie, D-Mate. I told you, Adam, the other day to crown me. Crown me, man. Crown Mark.
Crown him.
Here.
Crown him.
You want to crown him? Crown him. Yeah, he is who I thought he is. Yeah.
I got to keep you motivated, Mark. I got to keep you hungry.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely hungry when I call Adam. You know how I am. I'm self-motivated.
What you got for us, Mark?
On,
what you got for us?
Yeah, Adam, Willie, D-Man. D-Man, I heard you talking a minute ago about Cam. I think Cam will make the adjustments on his arm angle. I think he'll make his adjustments as he told. So he won't be making throws where the ball's getting batted down. I agree with that other caller when he said that Helm will probably be the number one tight end. I still would like to see him go to a 2 tight end set. The biggest thing I'm looking for out of this D-Mace is not Van Jefferson. It's not Lockett. I mean, it's not any of those wideouts or Calvin Ridley. I need to see somebody that can take the top off the roof. That's what the Titans have always needed. Somebody puts the fear of God in those secondaries and know this is who we got a game plan for. That way, if you got somebody like that, that opens up everything for those underneath routes and everything else that the Titans run. Listen to me, Adam. I'm showing how self-proclaimed I am. Listen to me. So that would really help that offense and benefit them big time if they did that. But you know what, D. Mace, I forgot to tell you, man. Congratulations on your Hall of Fame thing.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
But you know what, though, man? I'm waiting on the day, D. Mason. You're going to have to get me a plane ticket and let me ride with you. I'm ready to see you go to Canton. Then I'll make a call to my boy, Torrey Holt, and I'll have him meet us up over there. And maybe, hopefully, both of y'all, 2 deserving NFL, put in a time wide receivers who had a hell of a career. Both y'all went to Super Bowls. One didn't. Y'all should be in there. If Sterling Sharp can get in there, D-Mace, y'all should have been in there. It's a travesty, man.
Well, thank you, Mark. We appreciate it.
Yeah, when that day comes, I'm going to be right up there with you, D-Mace.
All right. I'm going to be looking for you, man. I'll be looking for you, Mark.
I know you will. You won't have to look for it, D-Mace. Number one caller, 102.5 The Game. Keep me on top. Here I go. Y'all have a good weekend, Adam. Adam, I'll call you back Monday, and I'll be even more motivated.
All right, buddy.
Oh, you didn't say hi. You didn't say bye to all of us.
Yeah. What about Willie and Derek?
Yeah. What about us?
Bye, Willie. Bye, D-Mace. Bye, Adam.
Okay.
All right, Mark.
Now we're good.
We'll see you later, my friend.
I
don't think there was a question in there, but always.
But
good
he did have a point
about taking the top off the
about
defense.
taking the top off the defense. DK is the guy that they got that has that type of speed. Io Manor has good speed, but DK has to take the top off of its speed. Now, listen, Calvin Ridley, speed isn't the only way you can get deep consistently. I want people to understand that. Speed isn't the only way you can get deep consistently. Now, it helps, but it's all about positioning, making your routes all look the same, your technique, getting off the line, pressing the cushion of the defensive back. You got to know all these things. That's why watching film is imperative. When you're a wide receiver, because you got to know how to beat your opponent in the pass game. So, but DK is really the guy I think they really hope shows sooner rather than later, because you could put him at the slot. And I'm telling you, when you got the first team one of the first teams I ever seen do this was the Rams, St. Louis Rams, when they had Akeem, Torrey Holt, and Isaac Bruce. Akeem was a nightmare in the slot. He was, because he was flat out fast. The dude can move, and it put pressure on those safeties. And you got Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. To me, Torrey is a Hall of Famer. I don't know why the hell he hadn't got in yet, but he is a Hall of Famer. But you got those two guys on the outside, and you got a guy that can flat out run down the middle. That puts pressure on everybody in the secondary. Then they had Ricky Prohl. I mean, no wonder that team was considered the greatest show on turf. So when you have a guy like that in the middle of the field that can take the top off, it puts pressure on the defense, and it puts them at a disadvantage. DK, they're hoping he can be that guy. That's why I said it'll be a good thing. And I'm not taking anything away from Tyler Lockett. I think Tyler Lockett has been a really good receiver in this league, and he's been nothing but a consummate pro from what I know. But if DK can push Tyler Lockett to a point where DK is getting more snaps at that slot position, it makes your team faster. It just makes them faster. But he has to prove that he can do that consistently.
Quickly, one more on our text line. D-Mace, I'm sure you've been in multiple scrums for fumble recoveries. My question is, what is the worst thing you've heard that you were allowed to say on the radio or seen done to other players in the pile for the ball?
I've seen it all, man. Eye poke, eye gouges, man. People pulling on your helmet, pulling your fingers. Other places they're pulling and hitting. It's just a scrum. It's truly a scrum under there. And
no rules.
No rules. No hold bar. No holds bar. When you are in that pile of that scrum, everything goes.
Blood sport.
Yep, because we're trying to get the ball from whoever has it. And the ref don't know who has it. So you pull, you bite, you do everything you can to get that football.
You
That's
would
the
never
most.
bite anybody.
If it was the Super Bowl, you damn Skippy, I would.
Willie,
now
what
I
about
gotta
you?
Get that football
What about
back.
you?
I will bite you to get it.
What about you fighting for a loose ball on the court?
There's not enough people.
That's true.
To cover up what's going on in there. Like, it's usually you and another person, maybe two, right? So it's not an equivalent. Like, under the pile, the ref can do everything he can.
Yeah.
He still can't see what's going on under there.
Nope. That's why I said, Willie, I would bite somebody. Yeah. I'll bite a finger.
Not a subtle elbow, Willie.
I don't think so.
A little jab.
Come on, Willie. You got sharp elbows too, man. You got sharp elbows. So
it's going to be called a jump ball as long as you hold your own in there. So you don't have to get that. It's not like, no holds barred, right, where
you don't have
stronger
to have
person
clear
comes
possession.
away with it. Yeah.
Right.
They should do like the old if the NFL, if they can't figure out who has the ball, they should do like, what was it? What was the league they brought up?
The XFL?
XFL, when they put the ball at the 50 and the guys had to run, whoever got it first.
Yes.
They should do that.
That was how they determined
possession. That is how they did it.
Yeah. That's how they determined possession.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people got hurt.
Yeah.
Maybe
they had to take that out.
That's maybe why that version of the XFL didn't last very long. 615-737-1025. Excellent participation. We will wrap up the week by taking it to the bank, and we'll look ahead to the Titans and Falcons preseason game number 2, which starts at the top of the hour. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Finnegan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game, our final segment of the week. Titans and Falcons, preseason game number 2, starting at the top of the hour. But before we get to that, let's take it to the bank with our friends at F&M Bank. Their mission is to make lives better by making banking easier. So the actual competition will start in a matter of weeks once college football season gets underway. So we're still having a little fun with this, but let's make predictions, guys, on something from tonight's Titans Falcons preseason game, which starts in roughly 15 minutes. Willie, why don't you go first?
Well, first of all, I want to take credit because I believe the over hit on so-and-so had a great camp. I think that happened. I heard at least 4, and I must have missed a couple in there. It was perfect. There was a few in the first quarter, and I was texting you guys right away. I was like, there's 1. There's 2. It just happens every year at the first game because we've been watching all these practices. So tonight, I think what I'm looking to take to the bank, I want to see a sack by Oladejo.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say. I think he was around the ball. I think they're going to play better tonight than they played in Tampa. I don't think they had good footing in Tampa. They look very slow. I think they're going to look better tonight and quicker. And so I think Oladejo, who I think is he's got the tools. He's fast. I want to see him get a sack. That's what I'm going to take to the bank.
Derek?
All right, I'm taking to the bank that one of these young receivers will score a touchdown.
DK, Iobanner, or Restrepo?
DK, Iobanner, or Restrepo. One of the 3 will have a touchdown reception.
Okay.
And what else was I looking at? Is how many offensive linemen are playing?
I saw Skoronsky warming up. I saw Dan Moore warming up.
All right.
Cushenberry's in uniform, but has he been ruled out?
I haven't seen that
It'd be
yet.
crazy to let him play.
Latham is playing.
Yeah. Okay. So I predict that we will be talking about the offensive line improving even more come Monday.
Okay. Yes, Lloyd Cushenberry is in full uniform for pregame. We'll see if he plays. Probably not, I would assume, but at least he's warming up in full uniform. I will take to the bank that Cam Ward will have a touchdown throw of at least 15 yards.
Now, last week, yours was Shedeur Sanders would have a throw of 30 or more yards.
Yes.
He throws one down the sideline. The guy makes an unbelievable one-handed catch, and the announcers say, gain of 29.
ESPN play-by-play said 30.
Adam gets the keyboard. He looks at the official stats. Texts back, it was 30.
Don't shortchange me. Don't shortchange me.
Man.
So Cam Ward will have a touchdown throw of at least 15 yards.
At least 15.
At
Okay.
least 15 yards.
Okay. Can you make it, to who?
If I had to pick one, I'm going to say a 15-yard touchdown throw to DK.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say Gunnar Hale down the middle.
Well, I've already said DK, so I can't go back.
Go.
David?
Can't go back.
So I'm also going to go with something with Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's going to rush or get a touchdown, but rushing touchdown, and he'll do his signature dance of this. I don't know how they call it, but he's going to do his signature dance this game.
Okay. We will see what happens when the Falcons take on the Titans, or the Titans take on the Falcons at 6 o'clock. So
right around the corner.
No Calvin Ridley, no Tyler Lockett for the Titans. So that means DK, Helm, and Iomanner have a big opportunity tonight.
We've been hearing these 5 a.m. meetings between Cam Ward every day and the young rookies, right? So he's been meeting with Helm and DK, and we know he's already got the built-in relationship with Strepo.
Yes.
Iomanner's been at these meetings. I was listening to Albert Breer on the MMQB, and he honed in on this. And in the practices, most of those guys aren't taking very many, if any, reps with the ones. So all these things that they're doing at 5 a.m., they haven't really had a chance to put it out on the field together. So I'm looking for that tonight to see if there's a little chemistry, because I think that will be something that would become a storyline. Are the young guys? This would be a great storyline for the Titans long term. How quickly, if at all, can these young guys push the veterans? And you've been saying this a lot too, D. Mace.
Yeah, it's better. I mean, if they can push them, and listen, they don't even have to, leapfrog them to become the number one guy. If they're just pushing them where they're earning significant playing time, that's good for the Tennessee Titans, because ultimately you do want them to transition into, a starting role on your offense. But if I just want these young guys to continue to push the starters, because if that happens, it makes the whole team better.
I agree with Willie on Oladejo. This is a big opportunity for him as well. He'll get more reps tonight than he did in the first preseason game, I'm sure. Last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I feel like there's a lot riding on him because this team doesn't have a lot of help at edge rush. So I would like to see him be impactful in this game. So when I'm thinking about players that I'm going to be watching, of course, Cam Ward first and foremost, then the young receivers, the young trio of receivers, including Gunnar Helm, and then Oladejo, I think, would round out my quote-unquote top 5.
I want to see somebody beat somebody one-on-one and get to the quarterback. I think that is what I'm looking for, because it just doesn't look like they have that guy. So somebody emerge that can help. The other thing, too, is that the Denard Wilson, I'm sure he's not showing everything about his pressure schemes where you bring the guy, you don't know where he's coming from. That's the concept, because I didn't really see that materialize much. And when they did bring the extra guy, Kyle Trask, he knew where to go with the ball, and he made a lot of nice throws off the back foot, even if a guy was sort of coming in there. And they didn't cover it very well. So I hope there's improvement in that area too.
Well, they're going to have to get improvement in the secondary. They're just going to have to, because right now, the way they showed up in the last game or the way they didn't show up in the last game, what we've been talking about them, what the things we've been saying about them in practice hasn't been good. This unit needs to have a good showing starting tonight, because if they can't, then, you can't have one unit get better in the offensive line, but then you take a step back. We done took a step forward. Now we're going to take a step back because the secondary isn't playing well. They're going to have to find out. They're going to have to figure out who their guys is. And these guys got to start making plays for them, because it's going to be a long year. If they can't get to the passer, like you said, Willie, with Femi and some of these other guys, obviously Simmons and Sweat. But if they can get to the quarterback, they damn sure hadn't shown, at least early on, that they can cover.
And let's all be thankful for a moment that we don't have to watch Tim Boyle play tonight. He of the 0.6 quarterback rating last week in Tampa.
Now that's impressive, though.
0.6.
Because we've seen some zeros. There's a lot more zeros than 0.6s. Like, to get to that exact number, that's pretty fine. That's cutting it fine.
0.6.
Is Simeon going to play?
I assume so.
I assume he will. He should.
Okay.
Brandon Allen didn't do much better last week, by the way.
I guess I keep forgetting. Simeon was there last year, so he at least walks in there knowing some of the concepts that they're going to do. He's going to let's hope that the depth looks better. I was really hoping to see somebody pop and say, here looks like maybe they've got something here. Like, I want to have that feeling from this. And I'll tell you where there's opportunity tonight with the injury to Spears,
running back,
the running back spot.
Yeah.
We've seen many guys. We can go through the list, right?
Julius Chestnut
has got a lot of preseason yards wrapped up in his career, and he's not alone.
Khalil Mullings, who is
Mullings
5'2",
right?
Kidding.
Chestnut's a big opportunity tonight.
Hopefully the graphics will say 6'2" tonight, not
instead of
5'2".
But there's a job there, right? There's a job to be had by somebody there. They've got to put somebody alongside of Pollard.
I think they may end up keeping, four backs on this team, because it's almost like you have to, because you don't know when Spears is going to go down. So maybe you try to hide one on the practice squad, Mullins, if you can. But they're going to need, like you said, Willie, they're going to need somebody else to show. I like Chestnut. I really do. I think he can get you those dirty yards, those tough yards that you can get. He's somewhat of a guy that can catch some passes out the backfield, but he's nothing like Tajay Spears, and they're going to miss that sort of element. But I do believe that Chestnut can go out there and get you some tough yards, but they're going to need somebody else as well to show that if given a chance, they can produce.
The expectation is that Cam Ward and the rest of the Titan starters will play 2 series. I think the expectation is what you saw last week in terms of playing time is what you should see tonight in mere moments against the Atlanta Falcons. So, got any cool weekend plans?
Nah, I don't have any cool weekend plans.
Willie?
My son's got his buddies, his tight buddies from his freshman hall, baseball teammates from Denison. So look out.
Ooh, they're
gonna be on the loose.
Watch out, Nashville. Man, watch out, Nashville.
Lock up your daughters.
Mahoney and the crew is coming from Denison.
Lock up your daughters. Mahoney Donick is on the prowl.
He's on the prowl. You would notice him. He's wearing his Denison hat.
Just like his dad. Just like his dad on the beaches of Dunedin, Florida.
This is true. Back in the day.
Back in the day during Blue Jay spring training.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Little jet skis, couple brewskis.
I don't think those things go together. Can you get a DUI on a jet ski?
Not good. Not simultaneously.
Yeah, not simultaneously.
Jet skis and then brewskis.
Yes,
Okay.
jet skis and then brewskis.
I'm getting tattoo number 7 tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
It's going to hurt like hell, but I'm looking forward to it.
Don't you, what you call it, said he got it. What's the name of the guy that dated Kim Kardashian?
Kim Kardashian.
What was his name?
Pete Davidson?
Yeah, he said he got all his tattoos
got all
removed.
of his tattoos removed.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is even.
Well, no, he's getting them all removed.
I think it's already started, but
he said it's going to be like a 4 or 5 year process.
That's even more painful. But
yeah.
Nevertheless, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend as well, whatever you decide to get up to in our wonderful city this weekend. Titans and Falcons in just a matter of moments. Our friends at News 2 have your coverage live if you want to watch the game. We will break it all down Monday, 3 o'clock. Until then, have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you Monday afternoon.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful weekend. We love you. I love you. Peace.